In this report of the Queen Elizabeth, did you know only one type of tobacco smoked can be enjoyed in only one inside room on board? Did you know there are 3 good luck sovereigns on the ship? Also, what happened to the 2 previous Queen Elizabeth ships, and what carpentry work was completed by Queen Elizabeth II's nephew? Well, all will be revealed. Welcome aboard the Queen Elizabeth, a passenger liner, not a cruise ship. No, this lady is dignified and classy, but she's not stuffy either, so let's have a look around. Well, it seems that this old girl can party hard as well. However, there was a strong presence of the first Queen Elizabeth on the deck, who we knew as the Queen Mother. Did you know that her name was dedicated to the first Queen Elizabeth ship, in a fleet of 3 passenger liners? Here's a brief explanation, and you may be surprised as to how it all started. On December 11, 1936, upon the abdication of Edward VIII, Queen Elizabeth, whom we knew her then as the Queen Mother, became the Queen Consort to her husband, King George VI. However, the Queen never forgave Edward for having abandoned the throne. You see, King George was ill-prepared for such a role, and as the Queen was his main support, a speech therapist was found to help him become that true leader, as in the movie, The King's Speech. As the Queen Consort to the King, Queen Elizabeth was honored with the ship, Queen Elizabeth. The first Queen Elizabeth liner, which was the sister ship of the Queen Mary, was one of the largest passenger liners ever built. She was launched in 1938, but timing dictated that she be used as a troop ship during World War II. It entered the regular transatlantic service of the Cunard line in 1946. However, after 20 or so years she was retired in 1968, and sold for conversion to a seagoing university. But it burned and sank in January 1972 during refitting at Hong Kong. After it capsized, it lay dormant, with most of the wreck that was above the water cut down and removed for scrap. The keel, engines and other remained at the bottom of the harbor, until the late 1990s when the remains became part of a land reclamation for a new container port. A very sad ending to a grand lady of the sea. Its successor, the Queen Elizabeth II, or QE2, was launched in 1967 and made its maiden voyage from Southampton, England, to New York in 1969. The QE2 was slightly smaller than its predecessor so that it could pass through the Panama Canal and operate as a cruise ship in addition to being a transatlantic liner. Just like the previous Queen Elizabeth, the QE2 was briefly requisitioned as a troop carrier in the Falkland Islands War. After 41 years, the QE2 made its final voyage between New York and England, after having become the longest-serving ship in Cunard's history. However, befitting to her stature, she sailed to Dubai, where it was handed over to new owners for refitting as a floating hotel. That leaves just one remaining Queen Elizabeth. Yes, it's this one. I should explain that this ship is the culmination of all the Queen Elizabeth ships, so it was important to understand and appreciate the history reflected within this beautiful ship. No different to the Queen Mother walking upon her original ship's timber decks, there is also the same appreciation for all of us walking upon these decks today. From walking on them outside as we get exercise and as well pull up a chair to pass the time of day, you really can appreciate the workmanship in the floors of this ship. Speaking of workmanship, the centerpiece of the Queen Elizabeth collection is a large marquetry panel over the staircase landing connecting Deck 2 with the grand lobby, midship. This work was created by Viscount David Linley, the nephew of Queen Elizabeth II. It uses 9 different types of wood including bird's eye maple, walnut and ebony. At more than 18 feet high, it dominates the ship's central atrium, as it depicts the first Cunard Queen Elizabeth at sea, and views the ship from just off the port bow at sea level, a view that shows the giant liner at her most majestic. Okay, from midship I'll take you to another interesting place on level 10. Welcome to Churchill's Cigar Lounge. This room is a tribute to Sir Winston Churchill, by Queen Elizabeth II. Well, there was no expense spared in this luxurious room, from leather club chairs to soft furnishings for all to enjoy. There is even bespoke ashtrays best served for cigars. Speaking of which, Cunard have thoughtfully provided a humidor storage cabinet to store those one-of-a-kind cigars. If you think this is a designated smoking area for cigarettes as well, think again. Your smoking area is outside on Deck 3 or Deck 10. So, in terms of this ship and its heritage, we'll bring the backstories of other interesting places on board. Just like the next location, the top deck. Here you'll find the ship's good luck coins. Sorry, that's the only clue I can give, the top deck. The 3 good luck coins were welded into place during a special ceremony at Fincantlery's Monfalcone shipyard on Tuesday, January 2010, to mark the float out of this Queen Elizabeth. 3 coins were chosen: a half-crown dated 1938, the year the first Queen Elizabeth was launched; the second was a sovereign dated 1967, the year QE2 was launched; and the third was a sovereign dated 2010, the year this Queen Elizabeth was floated out. So, where to next? Heading forward, with the grand lobby staircase behind us, we arrive at the Queen's room on the left. This is a popular place for quiet drinks, tea, and of course entertainment, including dancing. There's also additional seating opposite in the Queen's Arcade. Continuing forward on level 2, we come to the casino on the left and the Golden Lion pub on the right. Just a reminder that we provide a more comprehensive look at all food and drinks on board in another report. As we keep walking forward, we'll arrive at the middle section of the 3-level Royal Court Theatre, where artists entertain or provide interesting lectures. Let's take the lift or walk up to level 3, where we'll find the Royal Arcade, or more importantly, this is where the onboard stores are located. From fashion, perfumery, clothing and souvenirs of course, to the shop where the cute meets practical for family souvenirs. Continuing to the stern, or back end of the ship, we come to the Britannia restaurant, where all dining room meals are served as part of your onboard package. However, just check on your alcohol as it may or may not be included. Once again, for a full rundown, see our video. Because levels 4 to 8 are passenger accommodation decks, Deck 9 is our next stop as it has 2 outdoor swimming pools, one at the rear of the ship and the other is center forward. In between both is the informal Lido restaurant, where a walk around the food stations will surely find something to enjoy. I suppose, once you've enjoyed your meal, just wander past that second swimming pool in the direction of the bow, and you'll be ready to fire up a treadmill, fitness cycle or anything else, in the Royal Spa and Fitness Center. Ah yes, Deck 10 is where the Churchill Cigar Lounge is, that we mentioned earlier. It's located between the Yacht Club and the Commodore Club. I can honestly say that both are upmarket bars to relax in and pass the time of day. Before we finish, we've got a bonus, with celebrities on the Queen Elizabeth ships. The first is when John and Yoko were prohibited to join Paul and Ringo and their wives on the QE2 in May 1969. They were meeting to film one of their famous bed-ins in cabin 1050 with a documentary film crew. So why were they prohibited? They couldn't get a visa because they had a previous drug conviction. Yet another, Elizabeth Taylor honeymooned on Queen Elizabeth, QE1, as well traveled on QE2. As a matter of fact, a private collection of Liz Taylor's was exhibited on board QE3 during a special transatlantic crossing in 2019. Oh, when Walt Disney sailed with his family on Queen Elizabeth, he would regularly reserve a dinner table by the windows to allow a perfect view of the Manhattan skyline as the ship departed the city. Even George W. Bush and President Nelson Mandela frequented the QE ships, as well Buzz Aldrin, the astronaut from NASA's space program, Gemini 12 and Apollo 11. He boarded QE2 on April 3, 1997, and signed the visitor's book with the following quote, "No dream is too high, for those with their eyes in the sky, keep looking up." There are many, many more to share, but for me, a semi-unknown passenger by the name of Milvina Dean, who showed her continued love for the sea, even after surviving the unfortunate sinking of the Titanic. Well, this report on the QE ships has taken a long time to research, so we could present something different, that was beyond a normal cruise ship video. So we hope you find that this report and future reports interesting and deliciously good chewing gum for the brain. Please, click to subscribe, as we look forward to presenting to you again. Your comments, of course, are always welcomed.